In spite of all of the solid games that have released this year, greed still seems to be at the forefront of most major companies' minds, and going into 2026, we'll likely be seeing much more of it. But how, you might ask, do we get to this point, where the prices are slowly increasing month by month? It started with a rumor, a very dangerous rumor that many might not even remember or have heard of, one that estimated that Grand Theft Auto 6's release price will be somewhere between 100 and 160 US for the base game. At the time, I admit I didn't think a whole lot of it, but as the years progress, we've all been witness to the rise of more and more corporate greed in and around the gaming world, and as time goes by, I'm feeling a lot more apprehensive about what's going to be written on that price tag once the game does release, especially after recent statements from Chris Stockman, who is an original Saints Row developer. This bloke states that GTA 6 deserves to be $100. Now, I think we can all agree that GTA games tend to be great value for money, with GTA 5 offering hundreds of hours of gameplay if you dove into the online side of things. And perhaps, yes, a game could get away with being $100 US, but is it a good idea to sell games for that much? And what kind of knock-on effect will that have once one developer, regardless of that game's actual worth, sets the bar that high? We've already seen how this kind of greed has impacted things across the board, with Nintendo believing the Switch 2 and its games are worth what they're demanding for it. Not to mention the controllers if you want or need extras, where they're asking a price in excess of what Sony's asking for the PlayStation controllers. And on top of that, we can't at all forget these wonderful Nintendo products that all come with an amazing C button, which comes at an extra 20 bucks a year. You heard that right. A subscription to utilize a button on a controller that literally nobody asked for. And what do you get for this paid button? Some Temu version of Discord. But some of you may recall that the president of Nintendo America, Doug Bowser, saying that if you think the Switch 2 is too expensive, then you'll be able to have an opportunity to come into the Nintendo Switch universe via the Switch 1. These comments aged like milk, as Nintendo promptly decided to up the price of the Switch 1, ensuring that there will be even more limited options to join that family. Which then begs the question, why bother in the first place? Suffice to say that not long after pissing into the wind, though, that is Nintendo's financial department, Doug Bowser decided to abandon ship and announce his retirement. Now, whether he was tired of Nintendo execs stitching him up, or if it was just his time to retire, who knows, that's not for me to say. But it does raise an interesting thought process given the timeline of events. Nintendo releases a console which offers very little. It's overpriced. Its games are overpriced. It comes with a button that requires a subscription to use. Then, after telling people they can still come in and buy the Switch 1, they increase the price of it too. It's all strange to me. Suffice to say, it's really grubby behavior, and yet the Switch 2 still moved millions of units for a console that, and let's reiterate what I said a minute ago, offers very little over its competitors and its predecessor. It released with a literal handful of modern titles, and to this day we see them selling Switch 2 versions of games for a hiked up price. To me at least, it's really strange that when Microsoft recently forced up the prices of the Xbox consoles and Game Pass subscriptions, the world went into a frenzy over it. But barely any noise was made when it came to Nintendo's monetary practices, and any noise that was made was drowned out by people clamoring to buy the console at record rates. Now, this could simply be because the Nintendo people are a different, more laid back breed. They're happy to relax and play comfy or cozy games and ignore or turn a blind eye to Nintendo and their egregious business tactics until the day they die, regardless of how bad those tactics become. After all, we did see this not long after the release of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, with one particularly zealous Nintendo fan absolutely crashing out over a game, all because it ran in direct competition with Mario Kart World. But this emphasizes my point that they will defend Nintendo through anything, even if it's detrimental to them. But the Switch 2 is only a scratch on the surface of what's going on right now. We also see that over on the green side of the gaming spectrum, Xbox fans are rising in anger over how Microsoft is beginning to handle Xbox, with more and more news of how Microsoft's chief financial officer, Amy Hood, is demanding an accountability margin of 30%, which follows an aforementioned price hike on consoles and Game Pass. That said, I feel pretty confident in saying that Xbox's next console, or whatever it is that they're going to call it, because they don't really seem to like naming conventions over there, is absolutely going to fall into the price bracket of $1,000 to $1,200 US, which at that point, why not just buy yourself a PC and be done with it? Sure, you might maybe be able to get the entry-level console for $500 to $600, but it's going to be as bare bones as it can possibly be. And given Microsoft are already claiming it will be a premium product, that means it comes with an additional cost just because it's premium. It also wouldn't shock me to see Phil Spencer give up and leave Microsoft at some point in time, given that he is the one who cops all the bad rapport courtesy of Amy Hood's poor financial handling. Because in the corporate world, accountability is delegated to subordinates, and you tell yourself that you're a good person. Yes, that is what she really does. But all this leads to the point of this video. I feel that a point has come where we all, as gamers, whether you're serious, casual, need to start looking very seriously at our hobby and start rocking the boats of these corporations a bit more. Make more noise, hold off for sales before buying our consoles or our games, because it's really only going to be a matter of time before the current price norm is something that we look back on favorably, because we allowed these corporate giants to do what they want without any kind of repercussion. In many cases, that may mean missing out on something, and that's unfortunately something that I myself have started to have to learn. Many games have just become too expensive to buy on a whim, and they just never get played because of it. By the time they come on sale, I've simply lost interest. Sorry, Stellar Blade, but $110 when your nearest competitor, Nier Automata, was $10 less at release. No thanks. And I understand that many of you will sit there and think, well, it's only $10, what's he getting upset about? That $10 is milk and bread for me for 2 weeks. And there are people out there who are in worse situations than me, where small amounts like that mean everything. And if GTA 6 or any of the other corporations do raise that bar again, what could that possibly mean for those people? Maybe that will start to encroach on what territory you consider to be, a fair price for a product. It's something that I genuinely feel that we all need to start considering, because at some point, if these prices do keep raising, it will enter that price point where you start looking at things and start going, well, this is no good anymore. And by that point in time, I mean, maybe it's well too late for anyone to do anything because the horse is bolted. But that's just my opinion. If you have a different one or even a similar one, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to know when I upload.